Welcome to the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, the original food service equipment repair podcast built by technicians for technicians. Whether you're on the front lines of repair, keeping the kitchen running smoothly, or just passionate about the food service repair industry, this podcast is your go-to source for expert insight, tech tips, and real stories from the field. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles. I'm your host, Pat Finley, and I'm joined by very special guest, Jay Maiden, or Chief, as his screen says tonight. So, we're going to talk about A2Ls in commercial refrigeration. But first, you know what makes a tough job easier? Using products that actually work and are safe for you, too. That's what Viper's all about. Their coil cleaners are non-corrosive, non-toxic, and easy on the equipment and the techs who use them. So, I stand behind Viper and what they use. They work great in these kitchens, man. They're non-toxic. The fumes don't kill you, and they do a great job. And I have never had a problem using them. So I really appreciate Viper's support here. So what is going on, Jay? Fresh off vacation, did a little camping, it seems like. So what's up, man?
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Am I the first multiple times being on this show? Or have you had anybody else 2 or 3 times?
We've had Brian Sanders on a couple times. You're the first manufacturer person that's been multiple times. I love what you do online. You're always showing the good and the bad. You show both sides of it, the wins and the losses, and the not so pretty installs to the good ones.
There's plenty of material out there. You know, there's people just constantly give material to show. And again, I'm not trying to shame anybody. I'm trying to educate people. I always go to great lengths to remove any type of store name or person's name or identity. I'm not trying to shame anybody. I'm trying to educate people.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about what we do in these kitchens. Everything's branded. I film so much stuff and I can't use it. I'm working on a video now. It's going to be over an hour long. And I'm not going to I'm going to get dinged for copyright in the background. And luckily it's clean. It's a brand new kitchen and you're going to know what it is because there's stuff's playing in the background. But I want to put it out because it's a really good video about a repair I did over the weekend. And but I was like, oh, I'm just going to take the chance, and it's clean, so I'm not going to get dinged or anything for it, but I will just not get monetized on it. But it is what it is. I want to show it off.
Yeah.
So, we've been talking a little bit back and forth about this A2L thing. The heating and air world is absolutely a buzz, of freaking out about it, all these new tools. And, the small stuff has been A3 for a long time. We've had R290 for years. We haven't had any special tools, and it's just, I find it comical, and I probably am a little smart aleck about it, about the tool side of it, and I probably shouldn't be because someone's not going to realize what sarcasm is, I guess, or satire. But, I haven't had any conversation with any manufacturers about A2Ls, and, you happened to mention to me a couple weeks back, and I was like, shoot, let's have you on the show. Let's talk about A2Ls and what you guys are using. So if you don't know, go ahead and tell everybody who you work for and what do you do.
So I work for Kolpak, and we build walk-in coolers and freezers, and refrigeration goes with it. I've been with the company for about 20 years now. I did 20 years in the Navy and retired. I've only had 2 employers my entire life. I'm 59. I only had 2 employers, the Navy and Kolpak. But we started working on A2L refrigerant for our self-contained PolarPak units last year. As of January 1st, 2025, that's all we could sell was the PolarPaks with the A2L refrigerant. We chose R454C for the PolarPaks. There's R454A, R455A, but we chose R454C for our PolarPaks. We started selling them in January, but we spent 2024 designing and trying to design our new PolarPaks using the A2L refrigerant, and we struggled because we couldn't get any parts. I mean, the supply chain was horrible. EPA and DOE mandated we had to use this, but we couldn't find compressors and TXVs, and I mean, they just weren't there. So it delayed our start in getting approval from the agency, the listing agencies, to get approval so we could start making them. And once we did all that, we started shipping. But none of the supply chain, it's hard to find R454C out there. I mean, nobody's got it. I sent out an email to our FAS network, 450 something strong across the United States, and 95% of them don't have access to 454A or C right now. And it's tough because, I mean, if they need to service our PolarPaks, nobody's got the refrigerant to actually go out and top it off if they need to, if there's a leak. And it's it's bad. I mean, customers are feeling it, and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, that's wild that it's not available anywhere. It's, I haven't had to try to find any yet. We probably need to get ahead of it because, I mean, you never know. You get a system. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, nobody's perfect. Systems leak. Systems have issues. Shipping happens.
Yep.
Abuse happens. I mean, it's hard to say what's going to happen out there. But if you can fix the leak and you can't find a refrigerant, I mean, the customer's pretty much screwed.
Yep. You're correct. And we've already run into that several times already, and we've had to do some crazy things and to try and make it work. So since January, we've been doing that. January of next year, we have to change all our split systems to R454A. And we're right now designing our split systems and trying to get agency approval so we can start selling them. But the law stipulates, and we're not going to manage this, but the law stipulates as of January 1st, you can't install a 448 or 404 system, split system, after January 1st.
And that's wild because I've only been using 448, 449 for a couple of years.
I know.
Like it's only been getting popularity like the last 4 years or so. I'm like, I remember putting in a walk-in cooler during COVID, a walk-in freezer. I'm using 404.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, that's going to be pretty crazy that people are going to start trying to buy these 404 and 448 systems in December to avoid having to use 454A, but they have to install them before January 1st. And they're not going to. I don't know how they're going to regulate that. Nobody's going to go out. I don't know who's going to go out and monitor it, but if you want to order a 448 system in December 29th, we're going to sell it to you, but it's on you to make sure it's installed before January 1st. It's not on the manufacturer. We have no control over that.
That's wild. So you got these big suppliers that have warehouses full of equipment. What are they going to do? Just like
I have no idea. That's a good question.
They're going to sell it, not say a word, and like, hey, it is what it is. It's dry charged. It's on you.
We've started quoting systems now. We've already started quoting them, but we haven't built any yet. We're still waiting on approval for our final design. Austin Mealer in Dyersburg, they're doing a great job for us. I've asked for test locations so we can send out some test units, and they've lined up 3 or 4 locations that we can actually send out these new split systems with the 454A so we can get some actual field data and how they run and operate. We've done lab work, but lab work's not the same as field testing. It's just not.
Shout out to Austin Mealers. I love Austin and Loretta. They are some of the best people I've ever met and done anything with. And I still got to make a trip to come down and see your facility, your training facility, and I want to go stop by and see them on the way back. So I'm going to make it a multi-day trip, but I still got to get that plane to figure it out sometime soon. But they're great people. Like I've never met anyone nicer in my entire life. It's just,
I wish we could clone him for sure.
Oh, yeah. They're doing some good things for their people too. So I'd love to see them grow. So that's really cool.
Yeah, you need to come down. I mean, we still have Kolpak University, October, November, December. We have dates.
Yeah.
For training, and you come down and hang out, and I give you a plant tour. And you, like you said, run over to Dyersburg. It's about an hour and a half from Kolpak to Dyersburg to see them.
Yeah. I'll have to look at those December dates and figure it out because, I have to do that.
Yeah.
So, with the A2Ls, I asked you about sensors, refrigerant sensors, because I know in comfort cooling, that's a big thing. They have to have refrigerant sensors in there because if it's a leak, they want to shut the system down, and that kind of stuff. So how's that carrying over to the commercial refrigeration side?
So for the self-contained, it's a small enough charge. They don't need sensors in the self-contained ones. So the PolarPaks don't need them, but for split systems, they do. And all of our evaporators will have a sensor. I think it's 1 fan to 3 fans is 1 sensor. Anything over 3 fan will have a sensor on each end. So you'll have 2 sensors. That's a little circuit board with a sensor, and you have to have your solenoid wired outside of the walk-in. It's not going to ship for us anyway. I don't know about all the other manufacturers' design, but our design is going to be, we ship the evaporator without the solenoid. It'd be loose. And whoever installs the evaporator and pipes it is going to have to pipe the solenoid outside the box, as close to the evaporator as you can get it. You don't want a 100-foot line run with the solenoid. You want it right outside the box. We're also going to send a check valve for the suction line, and that's just to make sure that you get everything out of the box and everything's contained inside the condensing unit.
So is the check valve allowed to be installed in the box? Or is it going to be out of the box?
No, it needs to be outside the box as well.
So let's just try to keep everything as far out of the system as possible. Try to keep that coil dry. So I was wondering why you guys were doing that, and I didn't even think about it that way. because we just briefly talked about it. So you guys are just trying to make sure there's nothing in that box whatsoever.
Correct. If there is a leak, the solenoid was shut, and system will still pump down, recover all the refrigerant it can, and that check valves to keep it from coming back, migrating back to the evaporator, and everything will be outside of the box. Now, I mean, A2L, people make it sound like it's very, very dangerous, and it's really not. I mean, it's mildly flammable. I mean, if you remove the heat source, it disappears. The flame disappears. So you've got to keep a heat source on it to get it to burn.
Well, you got to keep a heat source on it. It's got to be atomized at a certain degree. It's got to be a certain mixture. It's like 1 in 1,000 chances it can happen. It's just wild that it's turned into what it's turned into for such a small thing. Now,
nothing like propane. You know, if you like propane, it's going to stay lit. But
it just
this refrigerant 454A and C. I mean, it takes an act of God to keep it lit. It just won't happen. So I think they're also worried about asphyxiation, but that's any refrigerant. You dump enough refrigerant inside of a box and you displace the oxygen, you can suffocate for sure. But I guess seems like a little overkill, but that's what we have to do. That's what they mandated. So that's what we're doing.
So we're going to go back to seeing solenoids and attics and above boxes and stuff now. We've gotten away from that, the recent years. We're going to go back to it. So
I'll tell you what I'm happy about. No more pre-charged line sets.
Oh, thank God.
Right? I mean, because you can't. I mean,
and now
you got to pipe it. You got to pipe it. You're going to have to cut into it. You actually have to hire a refrigeration technician to do the refrigeration. So no more electricians setting stuff and running pre-charged line sets because
leaving it coiled up in the attic.
Right.
City. Yeah, that's a good point. So, man, I may need to push.
There is a positive.
I may need to push my boss. So we need to get some training so we get some of this work out here.
I would definitely advise you to start trying to get some of this refrigerant because there's a long lead time to some of these.
Well, Michael Voss, he works for a company in my area. He said he just got some. So if he's got some, I'm gonna beg him, see where he got it.
There you go.
If he'll tell me, but he does work for the enemy. Sorry, Michael.
Yeah. So I was told, we get like 1,000-pound cylinder for manufacturing. We can get that all day, but it's the small 25-pound cylinders that they're having problems with. And I was told, I don't know if I believe it or not, the supply chain, all of these propane cylinders were made in a foreign country, and it was hard to get them. They had a shortage of them, so they don't have enough of these small 25-pound cylinders to fill them with. But I don't know if I believe that or not.
So Michael Voss, he says, will that be wired the same way as a pump down solenoid?
Exactly. And in our design, like I said, we eliminated the solenoid inside the evaporator. We're only going to use the one outside the box. That'll be the pump down as well as the emergency solenoid. It'll do both purposes. So it's not low voltage either. It's going to be 120 volt or 230 volt, depending on the evaporator.
So how's that wired into that sensor? If that sensor senses refrigerant, does it shut that solenoid off?
The solenoid has to wire to that sensor board. There's going to be a little terminal board. So when you pipe it outside and you wire your solenoid, you bring your control wires back to that sensor board and land it on the actual terminal board.
That's good to know. I'm fascinated by this stuff because it's new, it's different, but it's such a pain in the butt, it sounds like. But hey, we'll get there. We'll get it figured out. I'm glad
people also need to keep in mind when they start quoting jobs that there's more to it than just a standard refrigeration install. You got to do some, brazing on the outside of the box and control wiring, and that's extra. I mean, you got to think about stuff like that. It's not the same as a standard install.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, because it is going to have some time, especially like you said. You have those dealers or the construction guys have an electrician or plumber slap this stuff together and let her eat. And that's not going to happen anymore unless they know what they're doing. So it's going to bring a lot more work to people like me and some of the other people around. But I think it needs to be done. It's there is a hazard, but it just seems like we've gotten so consumed with protecting people from doing dumb stuff. And I'm a huge I get in trouble for saying this all the time, but I'm a huge proponent of remove all warning labels and let natural selection run its course. We have conversations all the time. Well, can we add a label? And I said, we've got so many stickers now on our equipment. Nobody's reading them. I mean, they're just not. Our walk-in doors have labels everywhere. The refrigeration has labels everywhere. And it's just so many labels that they're not reading them anymore. I think there's too many. But so Quentin, he did say that on more than 4 fans, they have to have a sensor per end. So the smaller boxes will only have one, and the larger boxes have 2. So it's redundant. We'll see how it goes. I know I've seen some people on comfort side, complaining about those boards not being accurate or being a pain in the butt. And it's just like anything else. It's a mechanical part. It's got a sensor in it. It can fail. At least you'll know if you have a leak inside the box, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's also talking about whether there should be some sort of audible alert to let you know that the system has had a leak and it shuts the system down. It won't come back on until it gets reset. So if it happens at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday and it's a mom and pop outfit, they may not know until Monday morning that their cooler shut down or their freezer shut down.
Wow, that's wild. So I mean, that's really pushing the people to have remote monitoring. Though I mean,
Correct.
I didn't realize
And
it. I was talking to someone, and I have a story about a customer that has remote monitoring, and I went to the maintenance guy, and he got sick of getting woke up when they got a truck, so he shut it off, and the walk-in freezer went down on 3 separate occasions and lost like $60,000 worth of product.
it defeats the purpose of it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was like, dude, you can like block out certain times and days, like when he's like, oh, I just turned it off because it was annoying.
Yeah. Our Arctic Fox evaporators, true demand evaporators will have reporting out. So if there is a leak, it will report out. If somebody's, added to it to get alerts, that will report that out. But just a standard alone, it won't. So
Yeah, so they're gonna have to, if they don't have that, they're at least gonna have to do some sort of monitoring for the temperature
you
wise.
have to, for sure.
Someone said Govee actually makes one that's like really nice and works well. And I was like, what? Govee? They're like, oh yeah, dude, they make everything. They make some nice stuff. So I was gonna look into that for I've got a Delfield freezer in my barn here. It was brand new. It came out of a restaurant. It was an environmental issue, and they kept having calls. And Delfield sent in their cooler, and they said, destroy this. And I said, dude, this thing's not even a year old. It's not getting destroyed. So it's been in my house for 3 years, running perfect. The bad thing is they replaced that unit twice for the same environmental issues. I'm like, dude, stop sending them new coolers. It's an environmental issue. I'm like,
Yeah.
but when you have a big name, they'll do anything they can to save face. So they just keep sending them new coolers. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. But
So now this A2L is not the death knell for 404 and 448. We can still sell condensing units and evaporators with 404 and 448. We just can't sell a complete system on a new walk-in with 404 and 448.
okay,
So if you got older box out there that's 404 and 448 and refrigeration dies, you can still use our RDI brand, which is our distribution brand. You can still get a condensing unit or an evaporator and plug it right back in and keep rolling. You don't have to use A2L, but any new box with new refrigeration has to be A2L.
So that's how they're going to get around. I was wondering what was going to happen because I thought it didn't make sense. I was like, that's kind of weird, but that makes more sense. Like, you just can't buy new equipment. And it's weird because we think of new equipment. I think of new equipment as condensing unit evaporator.
Right.
But you're saying it's a box, so it has to be, a whole new box. So
correct.
We know how customers will milk a box around for 50 years.
I just posted some on LinkedIn where somebody bought a used walk-in cooler and they turned it into a freezer and they didn't add
the stuff.
Yeah, and it's an ice cave. I don't know how you're going to go over that now, but obviously whoever sold it to them said, yeah, no problem. You can turn it into a freezer, no problem. And well, they did, but now they got all kinds of problems.
I took an indoor unit and made it an outdoor unit, so we had to buy a new door panel. So we bought a whole new door section. It was only a couple of years old, and the restaurant closed down, and it got moved somewhere else. And I do whatever I'm told or asked. So we moved it. I was like, the only thing is, I was like, you guys have to buy a new door. It wasn't a Kolpak, but I was like, you guys have to buy a new door panel. Like, why is it? Because it's not rated to be outside. It's going to have a heater. Like, well, why are we in a heater? It's a cooler. I'm like, it's outside. It's Indiana. It gets like 0 degrees. It'll freeze. I don't care.
If you have a roof cap, unless it's under an overhang or something, but you have to have a roof cap.
Yeah, they cap the roof. And so, I mean, it works fine. They love it, but it was just funny. They're like, why do we need a new door? I'm like, because it will freeze.
I had no idea there's a market for used walk-ins. You get on YouTube and all kinds of places, and people are selling used walk-ins left and right. Some of these are 40 years old. I mean, I wouldn't dare buy a 40-year-old used walk-in. No way.
But the only reason I moved that one because it was only a couple of years old, but it still had the stickers, like the panel stickers, so you knew where it was at. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be easy to put back together. And like it's still got all the markers and everything else. So it wasn't bad to do. But Rich, my co-host, my buddy, he does a lot of installs, man, and he's been posting some videos showing a level on a concrete pad that's like a 4-foot level, and it's like an inch out of level in 4 feet.
I think he sent that to me, and I said, I hope you're not installing it. He goes, no, I'm not. They're going to fix the pad before I install. I said, thank you. Thank you. I don't have to worry about him. He'll do it. He'll make it right. He won't do something that's wrong. He won't. Absolutely not.
Yeah. You can shim a little bit, but that's a little excessive.
That's excessive.
That's the one he said they brought a grinder out, and then the grinder didn't work. So they couldn't even grind the concrete down. I was like, dude, that's beyond grinding. If it's
that's a lot of grinding. That was a big pad.
I was like, it sounds like they need to either rip it out or pour on top of it or something, man. I don't know. So that's fine.
Self-leveler works.
So no, Mike B, what he's saying is you can still buy it and retrofit old stuff. You just can't buy a completely brand new walk-in box with the condensing unit evaporator, and it'd be 448 or 404 now.
Correct.
Or next year. So
correct. As of January 1st. Yeah. I think the real challenge is going to be people are still going to try and buy a 404 or 448 in December of this year, but they've got to have it installed before January 1st. But again, I don't know how they're going to police that. I don't know who's going to go out and spot check and make sure people are installing it before January 1st. I don't know how they do it. I guess the certificate of occupancy, they can go back and look at it.
Ain't nobody going to do that. They just set a date, and
Right.
You got to do it. And then just like,
they did 448, same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, they set a date and hope people are honest with it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with doing it, honestly, but I'm not a huge fan of the government. So I can leave with that. I mean, but if it's sold before January 1st, it should be a problem. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, you said the small units don't have sensor. How much refrigerant's in the smaller units?
Well, they do have a sensor, but it's just one sensor. And if it's a 110 fan, 2 fan, or 3 fan, it's one sensor. But anything over 3 fan will have 2 sensors.
No, the encapsulated.
PolarPak. I'm sorry. Yeah.
The PolarPaks.
I think the largest charge is maybe 18 ounces, maybe 20 ounces. So anything under that, you don't need a sensor.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that because, like we were talking before we went on the air, I was doing a self-contained system or encapsulated, or everyone has their own little wording for it, and it had a split condensing coil and a split evaporator coil and 2 R290 compressors, and it's an absolute nightmare. And they staged it. It was funny because one compressor kicked on, and like 30 seconds later, the second one kicked on. I was just laughing. I was like, dude, they're pulling like 2 amps each. You don't need to stage these things, guys. Come on.
We actually discussed that when we started redesigning ours. Instead of using 448 before, we talked about using R290, but we knew the charge was so small that we'd have to have. We used to sell a duo pack at Kolpak, our refrigeration, where it was one condenser coil, but it was split. We had 2 circuits. You could have a cooler and a freezer on one base and have 2 compressors, and they split the circuit of that condenser coil. So we used to do that. We thought, well, we already have the technology. We could do that for the PolarPaks, but who's going to pay for 2 compressors? Now you're marketing outside the range of what everybody else is selling right now. It's got to be twice as high having 2 compressors on there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it goes back to there's some reach-in manufacturers that have had, the bigger freezers where they use like a 3-door upright freezer, a big one. They'll have 2 condensing units, 2 evaporators, two complete systems to get under that charge thing. It's just playing games, but then you have 2 different systems to worry about. There is a grab and go open air air curtain system out there right now for a certain manufacturer that switched over to R290, and it has 6 condensing units and 6 evaporators. I'm like, how would you find a leak?
How are you in the money range with everybody else? How are you selling that? It's got to be crazy expensive.
Dude, I'm not looking forward to seeing one that's got multiple because they're tight to work on with a single 513 system. I can imagine 2, 4, 6 R290 systems.
Speaking of that, how many different refrigerants do you stock at your shop?
I still have some 22. I've got 404, 448, 449, 513. I got some weird stuff in there that like we bought for one-off jobs. There's a handful, but predominantly everything. I still carry 134 on the truck. I carry 134, 404, 448, and 20 and 22 and 290 on my truck. I have some 600 because some of these brands that do like some residential stuff and commercial will do we'll do 600 in them. So occasionally I get run to a 600. So it is.
And you add 454A, 454C, 455A because it's coming out. I mean, that's crazy what you have to stock. I mean, that's a huge investment from a service company standpoint to have all those refrigerants on hand.
Yeah, and I just recently started carrying 448 because I really wasn't carrying it. We just left it at the shop. If you needed it, you had to go pick it up. But I got to the point where I was using it so much, and now it's 513s getting to the same point. Like I'm gonna start carrying 513 on the truck for 2 manufacturers. I'm like, this is stupid. I don't want to carry it. It's like I can't have enough recovery cylinders. So now it's like I'm playing recovery cylinder roulette.
Right.
Like this is stupid.
I've had some service companies say that they'll wait until they need to get 454A or 454C. And I said, you can't wait. I mean, you got to have it. So if you wait and then order, it'll be 2 weeks before you can get it, maybe 3 weeks if you're lucky. Some places they said it was 6 months lead time.
Yeah. So Mike B, no, they will not be doing R290 capsule systems or encapsulated systems.
Kolpak won't, but I know they're out there. I think Heatcraft does. They got a Pro 3 that's R290.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah.
I haven't done one of theirs, but I've done some other manufacturers. I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
So, with this coming aboard, what other changes do you see, besides refrigerant coming on? Is it just mainly just refrigerant changes right now, or is there other stuff you guys have in the works?
No, I mean, that's taking up all of our engineering time right now. We've got a lot of fantasy projects we'd like to tackle, but we can't. I mean, all our resources right now are all on board is trying to get this 454A split system released, get it approved by our agency listing so we can start selling it and get these test units out in the field, get some field data.
If I come across one in my market, I'll let you know.
Yes, let me know.
I'm all about playing with new stuff and being ahead of the curve and, getting my hands on new stuff. So I will be going back to the office, and saying, hey, we need to figure out 454A, 454C. I'll make sure we can start getting that in stock to get ahead of the curve on that. Because like you said, if that call comes in and another company can't get it because they don't have it, maybe I'll be the lucky one to get the next call.
You might.
So, we talked about the misconceptions about it being flammable. I mean, it is flammable. I'm not taking anything away from it, but we just got to be precautionary, I guess, because like I said, we got to protect the people out there that don't pay attention, I guess.
Yeah.
So, any specific challenges a service tech should prepare for before working on an A2L walk-in?
So the only thing I think of, the biggest obstacle is going to be just getting their hands on the refrigerant. You've got to start reaching out now and try and get your supply chain to get it to you, because you're already behind the curve. If there's a call that comes in, we've already got product out there. These PolarPaks are out there, and we've had service companies say, well, it'll be 2 weeks before I can service it. And you can't tell a customer, I can't service it for 2 weeks. I mean, I can't control it. We can't ship refrigerant out to service companies either. So, I mean, that's the service company is going to have to start doing that now and get ahead of the power curve. They're already late. If they don't have it, they're already late.
Nice. That makes sense. Prep work for any refrigeration should be the same. I don't care what refrigerant it is. And guys get in the habit of, just being lazy, it seems like. And R290, any of the A2Ls, A3s, it's the same prep work you should have been doing all the time. You should be blowing nitrogen. You should be cutting out components. You really shouldn't be unbrazing components. And that's the stuff same stuff you do with R290s, the same stuff you want to do with this.
Nitrogen purge is saying, he's still nitrogen purge. Yeah.
Try to cut out everything you can. Don't unbraze anything unless you absolutely have to. I mean, just have some sense. I mean, I love R290 because it saves me a lot of time, but we can't get those, up to the power on systems yet. So, I mean, we'll get there eventually, but I'm not sure how long it'll be before we can get that high.
You think they'll raise the limits on the charge?
Oh, yeah, they will. I mean, I'm not sure what the total charge limits are overseas and Europe and stuff right now, but
I'm sure they're different than ours.
Oh, they're a lot higher. They've had it for years. Yeah. I know a lot of their stuff is now like a fluid heat exchange. So the outdoor unit actually carries all the refrigerant, and then they're just piping in the fluid. So it's either hot for heating or it's cold for cooling. It's a heat pump, and it's it's outside. So I mean, that's a workaround, but I don't think we can't get away with doing that in the refrigeration industry. I don't think. So we'll see. Eventually, it don't bother me, but I mean, some people are scared to death of it. But it is what it is. Pay attention and do your job right. Is all I gotta say.
That's right.
So, is your training really focused on A2L stuff now?
It will be. We just started updating our training. So our classes that we have at Kolpak University in October, November, December, we are going to touch on it. Plus a plant tour. If you come to Kolpak University, you get to see us actually make the walk-ins and the refrigeration itself. I've got my 2026 on the road training schedule finalized. I'm going to probably release it tomorrow, maybe the next day, put it out on LinkedIn. But we're going to go to Oklahoma City, New Orleans, somewhere in Florida. I can't remember where. Fort Myers, Florida, somewhere in Mississippi, and out in Utah.
So you try to hit all those states so you can check them off your bucket list?
Well, Utah, like I said, I've only got 2 states I've been to, and Utah is one of them, so I can check that one off. And the last one would be Oregon. But I might, when we go out to Utah, I might get in the car and just drive west and mark off Oregon too, but just to get it knocked off.
That's funny. That's funny. That's cool. Yeah, I always love seeing your training videos. You know, you take a lot of pride in what you do, and it's cool to see, especially on the manufacturer end. We see it with technicians, but you don't always see it on the manufacturer side of it. But you take pride in teaching these classes. You take pride in showing off people's great work, and like you said, even if you show the bad stuff, it's not to put anybody down. It's to say, hey, don't do this. We can do better than this. Don't. You're trying to educate all the time. That really shows what you do.
I don't want somebody to make the same mistakes, and it's inherently harder to fix a problem after the walk-in's up and running than it is to fix it before you install the walk-in. And I keep trying to tell people that all the time. Don't install it if it's not right. I try and tell all the service companies that are in our network, you absolutely have the right to go up to a GC and say, I'm not installing this box.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them didn't realize they had that kind of power. I said, yes, you do. You can tell them, I'm not installing this box.
That's what I love about it. I love about Rich. Rich doesn't care because he's like, he goes out there with a 4 or 6 foot level, and he's like, nope, I'm not installing this. Fix it and leaves. I'm like, he's like, there's no better feeling because he's worked for big companies and now he works for himself. And he's like, man, when a big company, we couldn't say this, because someone's going to call and try to get you in trouble or something. He's like, now it's great to walk up and be like, no, I can't install this. I'm like, what do you mean it's got to be installed this week? No, it's not going to be level. I'm not owning this walk-in cooler for years.
That's correct, and that's what happens. I mean, unfortunately, it's what happens.
Yeah. So equipment pricing, it probably, I mean, you're going to have the added cost of having the sensors and stuff like that in there. But as far as equipment pricing, did you guys have a big jump in that, or is it relatively the same, or are you not sure?
They're still working on costing it. I don't think it's a huge jump. It's not huge because it's really just a couple of components that we added that are different. That install cost will be different for sure.
Yeah. Well, you're not pre-brazing in a solenoid too, so that takes one step out of your guys' hands.
That's true. That's true. Now it's on the installer to do that part. I wasn't happy about that. I wanted to control it inside the factory. I was wanting to have both the solenoid inside the coil and have a separate one mounted outside, and I lost that battle. So they decided they're just going to have it brazed outside and have one solenoid for both pump down and for the emergency, doing dual duty.
That makes a lot of sense now you explain it that way. Because I was curious. I thought maybe it was because like in R290, everything has to be intrinsically sealed, it's spark proof. I was like, well, maybe their solenoid's not rated or whatever, but that's not the case at all. So it makes sense what you said. You guys are just trying to get every bit of refrigerant out of that coil and back in the system. So
something else I didn't mention is we're not making indoor units. All of our condensing units has to be outdoors. They're outdoor only. Now, we may change later on down the road and come up with something, but coming out of the gate as of January 1st, we're only selling outdoor condensing units. You can't put them inside the box or on top of the box.
Yeah, but you know how many outdoor condensing units I see up in walk-in boxes?
I know.
I won't say the name, but every wing place in the world has them.
I know.
We've slowly been putting them on the roof every time I got to change one, but
that's going to change. That's a big change there. I mean, people that are installing now, they can't. It can't be in a confined space. It has to be outside to vent.
That's good to know because I guarantee someone's going to try to put one up in an attic on top of a box, and yeah, that makes 100% sense. That's good to bring up. I'm glad you remember that because, yeah, I mean that adds a whole nother thing because now you got roof penetration, you've got probably 20 more feet of line set, 10 to 20 more feet of line set. You got electrical up there.
We've already had some people asking us about long line runs inside a building. Say it's a 5-story building, and you've got a chase inside with all this line set going through the chase. They may have to have it ventilated, positive ventilation to force it out in case there is a leak inside that chase. It ventilates outside the building and it doesn't just collect inside. So, I mean, there's a lot to think about, but that's why we say that we're not going to even consider right now indoor units. It has to be outdoor.
Nice.
Hours. I don't know about other manufacturers. I don't know how they're going to navigate that, but that's what we're deciding.
Yeah, that makes sense. So lighting. Now, I know everything electrical is, kind of iffy around A2Ls, A3s especially. Are you guys only doing LED lighting? You doing everything sealed? I mean, how's the electrical going to be on these? You still doing the same thing? Or
We've been using LED lighting for the last, 5 or 6 years. We don't even offer anything else right now. We sell 4-foot LED lights. We also have an 18-inch. It's the same light lumens as the 4-foot, but they're really small. It's a 1809 is the case-on model number that we use for the 18-inch LED lights. Even the lights above the door, the globes, is an LED light instead of a incandescent or a fluorescent.
Okay, I was just curious if there was any changes with the electrical being, the A2L. So I was concerned with that. So
The only thing I'm not sure about is how people a lot of times will run line sets and electrical through the same chase, through a pitch pocket through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know with A2Ls if you're allowed to do that or not.
That's something good to know. I'll have to look into that because I've been using a ton of these. They're called a roof goose vent. I don't know if you've seen anything else on there. They're actually pretty cool because I don't have to wait on a roofer because most of the time it's never done. So I can cut my own hole. I can seal it. I can put it on there, then come back and flash around it. But it's really nice because I can run 2 sets of line sets through there. I can run electrical through there and then put a cover on it. It's accessible. But if you can't run them in the same line set, I mean, that's going to be
you're running 2 different holes, one for electrical, one for refrigerant. I'm not saying that's the case. I don't really know off the top of my head. I'm going to have to research it myself as well.
I'll have to look into that. That's good to know. That's good to think about because that can be another challenge, especially in some of these buildings. I've ran into a few buildings where they have a pitch pocket and they fill it full of stone and tar. And I'm like, this is the worst thing in the world to dig out. So, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Man. So, what about penetrations through the walk-in? You tell them 2 separate locations. I mean, I always do 2 separate locations anyways. I do my refrigerant lines on one end, I do my electric on the other end, but I'm sure it's just the same. I mean, I don't think anybody.
I mean, that's what we recommend, but I know people out there don't listen to the recommendations, do their own thing, and they'll have one penetration run everything through it.
So, do your freezers all come with defrost clocks in the condenser units?
We ship our defrost time clocks in the freezers loose, and they're either zip tied to the receiver tank or to the compressor itself. We've had so many people say we had to add a defrost time clock because they couldn't find it, but they didn't realize it. I mean, we've been doing it for 20 years, zip tied to the receiver tank or for the compressor. I mean, 20 years, but we still get people. They're not refrigeration techs. They're HVAC guys, and they don't know that the time clock is, zip tied to the receiver tank.
So you suggesting then put them all in the condenser unit, so install the condenser unit?
It just depends. I mean, if you got a 100-foot line run, that's a long line run for control wiring. So I recommend on top of the walk-in.
Yeah, that's where I try to put them at.
Yeah, just on top of the walk-in, out of sight, right above the the evaporator. It's real short wiring. Mm-hmm. But you would be surprised how many people still will put them inside the walk-in itself. And those defrost time clocks are not NEMA rated. They're not waterproof. And we will have a thermal event at some point in time.
Yeah, I know.
Too many. Yeah.
I know where several are like that. I shake my head. I'm just like, it is what it is. Like when it goes bad, I'll give them a price to change it. The problem is they'll never go for the price of, to move it. It's like, oh no,
you gotta move it, right?
It's cheaper for them just to replace it every couple of years than it is to move it, unfortunately. So
we have seen them catch fire though. I mean, they've had some smoke coming out of them.
What about defrost heaters? Is the same heaters you guys have always used, or
no difference there? I think the only thing that really is different is maybe the TXVs and the distributor inside the evaporator has a different nozzle diameter, for the flow, and I think the compressors are different, but everything else is the same.
So pressures are those running similar pressures to 448, 449, or?
They said it's actually better performance-wise. It's more in line with 404 than 448. So it is a lot better BTU capacity. You gain some capacity with the new 454A. It's better than 448.
That's kind of rare to see when they change refrigerant. It generally goes the opposite direction.
You're right. It has forever, but for some reason, I don't know how. Maybe we got lucky. Knock on wood.
They got lucky until some patent runs out or something else. Who knows what they said? There's so many conspiracies about refrigeration and like refrigerants and why it changes so many years. I just crack up listening to it. It's like, it is what it is. I don't make the laws. I don't make the rules. I just got to abide by them. So I
really thought with the change at the White House that maybe this was going to put a halt on it, or at least eliminate it or halt it, but it hadn't happened yet. It may still happen, but it's almost too late for us. We're too far down the road, and I'm sure all the other manufacturers are too. It's almost too late to stop now.
To go back to where it was, it's a nightmare. So
yeah.
So Michael Voss, I don't know if you talked to Michael. He works for a competitor in my area. He's a great guy. Got a cool story. He was on the show.
Is that Vanco?
Yeah, he works for Vanco. Yeah. He wants to try getting some training because he said he had a nightmare issue at the Noblesville Event Center, or was it? It wasn't the event center. It's probably at the new field house for the Pacers G League team. I think it's where they had the problems with the condensing units being mounted like 5 stories up in a parking garage or something. And I heard a little bit about it from another tech, but Yeah, get some training. Go down there. If you go down
Come see me. I mean, we got 3 classes, October, November, December. Got plenty of spots available. Email me at j.maiden@kolpak.com and just reach out to me. Reserve your spots. I got plenty of spots available.
There you go. So, anything else you want to talk about at A2L? I think.
No, I feel like we beat it to death, unless somebody's got some questions out there that I haven't answered or addressed yet. But
so, Mike B says 448 has a high glide. What's the glide like on 454A or C?
I can't answer that. I'd have to ask Brooks. I mean, he's my guy at work. He's the guy that keeps up with that. He knows that very technical stuff, and I don't know the glide on it.
I haven't even seen a PT chart on one yet, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I need to investigate that a little bit. So I'll look into that and see.
So, I mean, your gauges as well. I mean, I don't know if you got electrical gauges or digital gauges. Does it already have that refrigerant in there, or can you update it so it will have it? Or
you can update them and it'll load them in there.
Okay.
So if you use the probes, it's mostly an app on your phone and it's always updating all the time. Okay. So it's just a matter of going through and selecting the refrigerant. But
if you got analog gauges, though, you got to buy new gauges.
You just gotta find a new PT chart. And
yeah.
That's the weirdest thing. I'm helping set up our unlimited service group university thing we have for refrigeration, and he sent me all the stuff he's buying. I'm like, there's no analog gauges, dude. I was like, if I'm teaching, I said I teach on the analog gauges first, and then I work into digital manifolds and probes, because you get on a roof and it's hot, your phone doesn't work, your phone shuts down. You get in a freezer, and some of these probes have such a wide variant. When you get it cold, they don't want to work right. I said, They're got to be able to read an analog, use a PT chart, use a calculator and a clamp, and figure it out. So I teach it both ways.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love technology. Don't get me wrong; it makes my job so much easier. But you still have to understand how to be able to go back in time and do it this way, because you're gonna get screwed one day, and then you're gonna be like, I still carry 2 sets of analog gauges on the truck. I mean,
it's good to have a backup, right?
I think the last time I used them was reclaiming a system, I think, but I still have them. Actually, they don't even have hoses on them anymore. I pulled the hoses off and they just kind of hang there and bounce around. But
take up space.
Yeah. I get sick of getting stuff tangled in the hoses, so I just like roll them up, put them on the shelf out of the way. But I still have them.
So here's a shout out. If anybody wants some swag, some Kolpak swag, nobody's gonna outswag me. I got some new stuff. So email me, hit me up with an email, and I'll get you some swag.
I'll put Jay's email and his LinkedIn profile on the show description. He does have some pretty good stuff, and he sent me a literal case of solenoid magnets for Cefesa, because I teach refrigeration for Cefesa, and I only had he had a stack of microwave magnets. We were using those. And,
well, I mean, it works, but
I taught class a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Hey, where are all those Kolpak magnets at?" Because we have these boxes. I don't know if you've seen them. We build a box. Everything's flared, so we can reuse it over and over and over again. But
no brazing, right?
Yeah, we do teach brazing, but on the modules, we won't be able to reuse them for the next class. Right. So you start brazing on them, then you get holes and you get leaks, you get all kinds of stuff. So to avoid that, we just we do flares. But I was like, "Hey, where are those at?" He had a box of them. He's just like, "Here, how many do you want?" So I grabbed 4, and then I gave them to the guys, and I didn't tell them. And like some of the guys were like, "Well, our cylinder didn't open up." I was like, "Well, turn the magnet around, dude."
Yeah.
And like, "Oh, it's directional." I'm like, "Oh yeah, one way will force it closed and one way will force it open." And I'm like, "It's a pole. It's got 2 different directions." And guys are like, "Oh, okay." So I just use it as a learning experience. But I really appreciate you sending those magnets out, because it's a lot nicer to have a nice encased magnet versus using a microwave, because they fall and break, and then you don't have a circle anymore. It's just a pain in the butt.
So I've got some EEV magnets too.
I need some of those.
Yeah. And I also got some small channel locks that you can put in your pocket. One of our techs, we asked everybody, what do you need that we aren't supplying? They said, real small channel locks. You put those in there, you can do anything you want if you have channel locks, anything on the system. So I got some channel locks now too. So shout out. If somebody wants some swag, just email me.
Well, I'm sure you're going to get bombarded, because I'm going to put your email address in the thing.
Okay.
So Brian Sanders says 454A has a glide of 10 degrees. Not sure about 454C. Mechanical Environments says they use their analog gauges as wall decorations at this point. Haven't had it sit on the van in years. A is more of R32, C is more 1, 2, 3, 4 YF. So Brian's out here getting technical for us and breaking it down.
Appreciate that.
So, I see something this week. There was a training, something that went on last week, and it was called EEV Mate, and it was like a little tool to test the coil, and then it also had a little tool that would open and close the EV too.
That's what I'm talking about. I've got a little device you can take the head off, and you can spin it with your hand and open and close the valve manually.
Nice. That'd be good. Good for flow of nitrogen or pressure checking or doing some things like
Correct.
that. I know those EVs don't like. I know Chris Stevens. He does some stuff with a different manufacturer, but he didn't realize it. And he tore up an EV because he pressurized it wrong or did something wrong on it. And
well, I mean, they're real sensitive. I think 250 psi is the max you can put in there or you can damage the equipment. But
I think that's what it was. I think he went to like 300 psi to check anything. It damaged it. So I'm a huge proponent. I tell everybody. I tell this story all the time, especially in training. Like there is a maximum and minimum. There's a maximum pressure rating for a low side and a high side on, like, especially reach-ins. Like it says on there, you have maximum design pressure, and you're like, well, what's that for? I'm like, well, let me tell you this story. I won't say the manufacturer, but it was an ice cream dipping station at a Hardee's. So it's like a deep freezer you have in your house. There's no forced air. It's just, the wrapped around coil. And I had a back compressor, so I changed the compressor, and I had a leak, and I couldn't find it. And I don't like not finding things, so I kept turning the pressure up.
That's how you can do it. I mean, it'll show you the leak for sure.
I found the leak when it blew apart.
Yeah.
It blew apart, and that coil wrapped around the inside, and it caved the whole inside in on this thing. So that's why I said never go above that unless you absolutely have to. But
that's a life lesson right there. That's a life lesson.
I've seen guys like, 350 right off the bat. I'm like, dude, it says maximum like 222 psi. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop. Like, no, don't do this. You learn real fast when someone tells you got to buy somebody a new cooler.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, I won't keep you any longer. I really appreciate you coming on.
I enjoyed it.
You're always a wealth of information. And if you guys want some training on Kolpak, they have an amazing training facility. Like he says, he does a spring tour where he goes out and travels the country. They ship walk-ins. You learn about the systems. You build a box. You do it all. Is it a one-day course or a two-day course?
It's 1 day. We usually have 2 days of training just so we have enough capacity for other techs, but it's just 1 day.
So, I mean, they have fun, and Jay enjoys what he does, and he's very knowledgeable. If you guys have any pictures of any great installs or any terrible installs, you can always share those with him too.
Send them to me.
If they're yours, he won't make fun of you too bad.
I promise I won't.
So I appreciate you coming on, Jay. I appreciate Kolpak for supporting, what you do and what we do as an industry. Kolpak's a great company, and you guys really do good work, and you guys are proud to, be made there in Tennessee, or it's Tennessee? Yeah.
Just Parsons, Tennessee.
Yeah. So I'm just rambling at this point, but I appreciate you coming on, and have a good night, buddy.
All right, man. Good talking to you.
Yep. If you guys would, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast. It really helps us grow and helps us know which direction to move in. Also, if you have any suggestions for guests, please email me at commercialkitchenchronicles@gmail.com. Or if you want to be a guest, email me. Love to have you guys on. Thanks a lot. See you next week.